Listen. Okay, next landform, put the heading karst landforms. Next one is karst landforms. Karst landforms, very important one, karst landforms. Okay, listen. First, you should remember what is the meaning of karst, right? So we have discussed about the rocks. There are three types of rocks. What are the three types of rocks? Huh? Igneous rocks, sediment rocks, and metamorphic rocks. Among these three, which is the softest rocks? Okay, sedimentary. Just listen. Sedimentary. Any example for sedimentary rocks? Okay, limestones. Very good. Limestones, sandstones, limestones. Listen. And limestones are very soft rocks. And when these limestones, they melts, or when they dissolves, right? So here they form different structures, like they form the ridges, right? They form these sinkholes, right? And they forms almost U-shaped structures. So like different structures will form in the rocks, limestones. Different rocks structures will form in the limestones, and that different structures in the limestones we call karst. Just listen. Here karst meaning different landforms will develop in the soft limestones, and the main reason or the main agent of formation is groundwater, right? The groundwater, when the groundwater flows through these rocks, it causes the melting, and because of melting it forms the like ridges, right? And then the sinkholes, just listen, sinkholes. It leads, even this one we call uala, not ulala, uala. So uala, sinkholes, ridges, such, and this ridges also known as lapis, right? So lapis, such different structures will develop in the limestone region, and that we call karst. Karst landforms meaning the landforms which develops in the limestone region or limestone existing region is known as karst landforms. You got the first meaning. Karst landforms meaning the landform that develops in the soft sedimentary rocks like limestones. If you get the question, so in which part or in which areas the karst landforms develops? So answer is limestone. There should be a limestone and soft limestone, and there should be a groundwater. The groundwater should be sufficient there, so then only such landforms will develop. If the limestones are there and there is no water, then the karst landform will not develop. So there should be a sufficient groundwater and large limestones, then only the karst landforms will develop. And such landforms largely found near Adriatic Sea, and Adriatic Sea located on the eastern side of Mediterranean Sea. And on the eastern side of Adriatic Sea, there are many countries, and the group of 11 countries we call the Balkan states. You might have heard about Balkan states. So Balkan states, Baltic states, heard these terms? Okay. So Balkan state, there are 11 countries, because the 11 countries, they made one group, that group we call the Balkan states. And Balkan states are very famous for karst landforms, or maximum landforms found in that Balkan states or near Adriatic Sea. What is karst landforms? Landforms that develops in the soft limestone existing areas we call karst landforms, right? There are some basic terms, but basic lines, write down. Landforms that develops or forms, landforms that develops or forms in limestone in landform that develops or forms in soft sedimentary rocks, limestones, soft sedimentary rocks like limestones, existing areas, landforms that develops or originates in soft sedimentary rocks like limestones existing areas are known as karst landforms, 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 right? Full stop. Next point. Karst meaning, karst meaning, karst meaning, karst meaning different, karst meaning different characteristics, characteristic features, features, characteristic features of limestones. Very important point. So karst, karst meaning different, different characteristic features of limestones. Limestones we call karst. Full stop. Next point. Such landforms largely found surrounding to Adriatic Sea region, Adriatic Sea region in the so such landforms largely found surround to the Adriatic Sea region, Adriatic Sea region, and in India, such landforms largely found, and in India, such landforms largely found in northeastern states, right? And within northeastern states, largely found in Meghalaya region. Meghalaya having maximum karst landforms, and even AP, Andhra Pradesh also having many karst landforms. AP, Andhra Pradesh, especially the Araku Valley region, you'll find many karst landforms in the Araku Valley region, right? There are caves also, Araku, that caves that are made up of, we call them karst caves. Karst caves meaning the caves formed within that stones, because the rocks will melt and you'll find the caves, right? Caves will be generally found in the that karst region only. Karst region means limestone exists region, because the soft rocks will easily it melts and that will develop the caves, right? Karst, we call karst caves. So in AP and Meghalaya, so we are having large karst landforms. In the world, we are having the karst landforms are found near Adriatic Sea region, right? Next point. Just put the heading conditions, essential conditions, essential conditions for formation of karst landforms. Essential conditions for formation of karst landforms. Essential conditions for formation of karst landforms, right? Essential conditions. This question already asked in the prelims exam. So what are the favorable conditions? What are the essential conditions for the development of karst landforms? The first favorable, first required or first essential condition is existence of rocks. What type of rocks? Soft sedimentary rocks. Which soft sedimentary rocks? Limestone. That is the first criteria or first condition or first required condition. Second required condition, more groundwater. Not only groundwater, moving groundwater. The groundwater should travel there. And for movement of the groundwater, what is the essential there? Lot of cracks. There should be a lot of cracks or lot of fractures so that the water will travel. That we call joints also. There should be more joints between the rocks or more cracks between the rocks. Then the karst landforms will develop. Just write down point. First point. Presence or existence of soft sedimentary rocks. Soft sedimentary rocks, presence or existence of soft sedimentary rocks. That is the first required condition. Second required condition, flow or movement of, 1 minute. Second point, existence of cracks or joints in sedimentary rocks, in limestones. So existence of cracks or joints in limestones. Suppose this is the limestone. Okay. So your rocks, these are the limestones. So your water will flow through these cracks. Water flow. So a crack should be there in the rocks. Or so existence of cracks or joints in limestones. Third one, easy movement or flow of groundwater. Easy movement or flow of groundwater in limestones. Easy movement or flow of groundwater in limestones. So these are the essential or required conditions for development of karst landforms. Next one. Now put the heading karst erosional or erosional karst landform. Karst erosional landforms. Karst erosional landforms. And here karst depositional landforms. Right, karst erosional landforms, karst depositional landforms. First write down the list. First one is here sinkhole, Uala, Polje, Doline, Lapis, karst window, bogas, and sinking creek. So bogas, sinking creek, karst window, lapis, doline, polje, uala, sinkhole. Water springs. Under karst deposition landforms, we are having 4 important landforms, and they are very important for your exam. One is stalactite and and karst pillar and karst curtain. Karst curtain. Okay. So the karst erosion landforms and karst deposition landforms. This is a repeatedly asked question. This question came many times. Stalactite, stalagmite. And Uala, Polje, Doline, right? And even sinkhole also, lapis as well, karst, and this one bogas and sinking creek. They are the repeated last question. So this question came many times. Stalactite and stalagmite, very important. It came in almost all the exams. Stalactite, stalagmite, right? Okay, first put the heading karst erosion landforms. In that sinkhole, first erosion landforms, and within erosion landforms, first one is sinkhole. Sinkhole. Now listen. This is the limestone. It's a limestone, and you find almost a funnel structured opening in this limestone. This funnel structured opening we call the sinkhole. Right, this is the opening. This opening we call sinkhole, right? And this is a limestone, right? And listen here, this funnel. Just listen, a funnel, almost a funnel-like opening we call the sinkhole, and its depth. Just listen carefully. Its depth ranges between 3 to 9 meters. 9 meters, and hole meaning a opening in the that limestone region. It's a limestone area. In this limestone area, so this is the hole, this opening. This opening we call the sinkhole. Decide on this point. Write down. A funnel structured or shaped, a funnel structured or shaped opening, a funnel structured or shaped opening in limestones, a funnel structured or shaped opening in limestones is known as sinkhole. Full stop. Its depth or size depends upon yes, very good, softness of the rocks and how much water is flowing in that area. Just write down, its depth and size depends upon the softness of limestone and amount of groundwater, very important point, amount of groundwater, full stop. Its depth ranges between 3 to 9 meters. Its depth ranges between 3 to 9 meters. Okay. Its depth ranges between 3 to 9 meters. This is first one, sinkhole. Second one is Uwala. Second one, Uwala. listen. So suppose these are the two separate sinkholes. Just listen. And this upper part of two sinkholes just submerges or collapses. Just listen. If the upper part of two sinkholes collapses or submerges or joins, right? So when this upper part submerges or joins or collapses, then we call as a voila. So a sinkhole meaning a single funnel-like structure we call sinkhole. When two upper part will collapse and when the larger hole will form, listen, this is a larger hole will form, and that larger hole we call voila. You got this point? Voila meaning, so when upper part of two sinkholes will they will join or they will collapse and larger hole will form, that we call voila, right? This is a limestone and it's a large opening, and this is a small opening. This is the main difference. Write down. When upper part of two sinkholes collapses, when upper part of two sinkholes collapses, it leads to formation of larger opening or hole, at the surface of limestone, that leads to formation of larger opening or hole at the surface of limestone is known as voila. And if you will not understand, it is ulala. If you understand, it is voila. And if you not understand, ulala. Do you know ulala? What is ulala? Huh? Jumping. Okay, ulala. Okay, so voila. And this is second one. Now third one, write down. Have you taken the diagram? Okay. Diagrams are important here. So because you content you will get everywhere, but these are my own diagrams. You will not get these diagrams anywhere. You can check also any books. So you will not get this diagram. That's why these diagrams are very important. If you draw these diagrams and you present something, you will get very good marks, right? So voila. Next one is pole J. Third one is pole J. Pole J, right? Pole J. Okay, just listen. So your upper part of sinkhole means upper part of two sinkholes joins, but the lower part remains as it is. That we call voila. And if lower part also collapses, then it leads to very large hole. And that very large, almost U-shaped, and steep slope. Just listen, a very steep slope and a flat base, and almost U-shaped hole is known as pole J. And it's the largest hole. Listen carefully. It's the largest hole in the karst landforms. If you get the question, which of the following is the largest opening or largest hole in the karst landforms, then answer is pole J. This is the last year CAPF question, Central Armed Police Force exam question, and the CAPF exam also conducted by the UPSC only. So this is the last year question only. They ask what is pole J. Pole J is largest opening, right? You take separate diagram. Don't modify in that only. Take a separate diagram, and almost you show this like U-shaped, almost U-shaped. Pole J. Done. Okay, write down. An U-shaped U-shaped large hole, an U-shaped large hole or opening, an U-shaped large hole or opening with very steep slopes, and flat base, with very steep slopes and flat base, with very steep slopes and flat base, with very steep slopes and flat base, is known as pole J, is known as pole J, is known as pole J, pole J is known as pole J, right? Full stop. Listen. And when two or more than two sinkholes collapses, it leads to formation of pole J. Means entire sinkhole, not only upper part. Only if the upper part collapses, it leads to formation of Oala. If the entire structure collapses, it leads to formation of pole J. Write down. It forms, means I am talking about pole J. It forms when two or more than two sinkholes. It forms when two or more than when it forms when two or more than eight or more than two sinkholes, two or more than two sinkholes collapses. It forms when two or more than two sinkholes collapses. Full stop. It is a largest opening or hole. It is a largest opening or hole. It's the largest opening or hole in the karst landforms. It's the largest opening, or add one word, it's the largest vertical. It's the largest vertical opening or hole in the karst landforms. Largest vertical, very important point. Largest vertical. Underline the word vertical. Largest vertical opening or hole in the karst landforms. And listen. And if suppose if a horizontal opening forms, listen carefully. If suppose this is the vertical, and if such horizontal openings forms okay, listen. So this vertical opening, this is the limestone, right? So this vertical opening we call pole J, and this horizontal opening we call karst caves. Almost the horizontal openings we call the karst caves. The caves will form in that rocks only, karst caves, and opening we call pole J, right? A large openings are known as pole J. Right? Just next write down karst cave. Write down a large horizontal opening in the karst region. Karst meaning limestone region. In the karst region, or in the limestone region, is known as karst caves. A large horizontal is very important, and pole J is the vertical, large vertical large vertical opening, and it's a large horizontal opening. Very important point. That one word will change the answer. Large vertical openings we call polje, and large horizontal openings we call karst caves. Karst caves. Next point. Or and such karst caves they largely found in AP also. Araku Valley region. Araku Valley region, and even they found in Meghalaya also. There are many such karst caves in Meghalaya and Araku Valley region of AP, Andhra Pradesh, Meghalaya, Araku Valley region of Andhra Pradesh. You will find such karst caves, and it commonly found everywhere. So wherever you find the limestones, you will find such polche. Next point, doline. Doline. Okay, listen first. So here the word doline. Doline is derived from a Slovenian word called dolina. Dolina meaning valley, right? If a valley-like structure, valley meaning, what is the meaning of valley? What is ravine? What is the difference between ravine and valley? So ravine meaning the smaller one, smaller V-shaped landforms we call ravine. They generally found in plain areas. But valleys meaning a large V-shaped areas found in the found between the mountains or plateaus. Plateaus we call valley, right? And if a valley-like structure develops in the karst landforms, then we call doline. Doline meaning a valley-like structures in the karst landforms. This is the limestones. And this is the valley. Write down. The word doline. The word doline. So the word doline is derived from a Slovenian word dolina. Dolina meaning valley. Meaning valley, right? The word doline is derived from a Slovenian word. Slovenian means the word of Slovenia country. We're having one country called Slovenia. It's a Slovenian word, dolina, meaning valley. Full stop. A valley like a V-shaped valley like opening in limestones is known as doline. A valley like opening, a V-shaped valley like opening in limestones is known as doline. Clear? Doline. Next point. This is about doline. Next one is lapis. Have you taken the diagram? Okay. Next one is lapis. Don't write leg piece. It's not leg piece. Lapis. Listen. So this is a karst landform, and these grooves or ridge-like structures of limestones. Grooves or ridges. So these ridges of limestones is known as lapis. Ridges or groove of these ridges of limestones. All these are limestones. Limestone, right? All these are limestones. So such ridges of limestones or such group of limestones, so we call lapis. And even such lapis you find even in Andhra also, again that Araku Valley region. There are many such ridges, right? So for example, see this. So such ridges you will find, you might be seen in your Araku Valley region or Andhra, and even Meghalaya also will find such ridges of limestones, right? Such ridges of limestones we call lapis, right? Here also. There will be mountains also, right? Or such, just see this one, such ridges or limestone ridges we call the lapis. All these are the lapis, right? Okay, write down. A group of ridges of limestones, a group of ridges of limestones, ridges meaning elevated lands, ridges, a group of ridges of limestones is known as lapis, right? Full stop. So this is about lapis. Next one, karst window. Okay, listen. So karst window and wind window. What is the meaning of wind window? Wind window. So here openings in the deserts, in the rocks, which is formed by the winds, that we call wind window. And the window like openings in the limestones formed by the groundwater, we call karst window. That is the only difference. Here the agent, their agent is wind, here agent is groundwater. Listen, this is the limestone, right? And this is the opening. This completely is a karst, is a limestone, and that openings at the center, a window like openings, that we call the karst window. The only difference is, so there in every landform that is formed by winds, but it is formed by the groundwater. So it's a limestone region and formed by groundwater, right? So that we call karst window. And sometime you will find arches also, karst arches. If you find such arch like structures in the limestone region, we call karst arches. And if you find like a bridge like structure, we call karst bridge. So that's why if you know the concept, you can answer any question. It's a you have to interlink. So if suppose it's a rock and it looks like a bridge, then we call karst bridge. It's a karst arch. It's a karst window, right? Karst window. It's a karst arch, right? And it is karst bridge. And this is the karst window. So here karst window, karst bridge, karst arches, right? Or okay, so karst window, or you can mention here karst arch or karst bridge, right? So here a window like opening in the karst landforms we call karst window, an arch like opening in the limestone region we call karst arches, and the bridge like structures in the karst region, so we call karst bridges. Karst bridges. कास्ट विंडो देखो कितने अच्छे अच्छे विंडो है यहाँ पे. These are the karst landforms, and this is the opening. We call karst window, or you can see here also the window, karst window. So nature is very beautiful, right? So this is also karst window. Karst, this is a limestone. The opening we call karst window. If they are looks like bridges, we call karst bridges. देखो कितना अच्छा है, beautiful, right? Openings, karst window. And when they leads to formation of, if there is a horizontal opening, we call the caves, and the larger openings we call the almost vertical opening we call the polje. Almost vertical, and horizontal openings we call the karst caves, right? Okay. So your karst window, karst arch, and karst bridges, right? Next point, write down. Next one, bogas and sinking creek. Bogas and sinking creek. Sinking creek. Okay, listen. So here you will get that in oceanography there is one topic called Bay Gulf. Just listen, Bay Gulf Creek. So these are very important topics in oceanography. So creek meaning, just listen, a small channel of water. So that flows we call creek, right? Creek. So creek meaning a moving small channel of water is known as creek, right? And sinking creek meaning underground or below the earth surface, that we call sinking, right? So the water which travels underground which is not visible, we can't see because so here below this earth surface also the water is moving, right? That we call groundwater also. That moving groundwater through the small channels we call the sinking creek. And when that sinking creek is visible, then we call as a bogas. Bogas meaning visible water. For example, just listen. Suppose this is the mountain, right? Listen. So the water, when the rainfall occurs, this is a limestone region. When the rainfall occurs, the rainwater percolates and it flows and becomes the groundwater, right? It percolates and becomes the groundwater. Percolates and becomes the groundwater, and even flows underground also. It flows underground, right? It flows underground, right? And then when it flows on the earth surface, this is a visible water, right? Just listen, it's a visible water, and this water we can't see. The water which flows inside the mountain or below the earth surface we can't see. That's the invisible water. That invisible water we call sinking creek, right? These movements, these are sinking creeks. All these are sinking creeks, right? Sinking creek, a small channel of water that flows below the earth, we call sinking creek, and the visible water we call bogas. Bogas, let's see here. Just see this diagram. Listen. So here the water which flowing in this mountain, it's not visible, but here this water is visible. Just here, this water is visible, right? The water which is visible we call bogas, and the water which moving inside inside this mountain, so that we call sinking creek. Sinking creek meaning not visible, but that comes out, that visible water we call bogas. And without sinking creek will not get bogas, or without groundwater will not get this water, right? So here bogas meaning that visible water, and sinking creek meaning the water which flows inside the earth or below the mountains. This is also the best example here, right? This is the visible water, and the water which is flowing underground that we call the sinking creek. This is the visible water we call bogas. So you might have seen this in your villages or mountains. The water will come from the mountain as continuously, but we can't see the water where is flowing, from which side is flowing, that inside the mountain. If it flows inside the mountain or below the earth surface, we call sinking creek, and if it flows on the earth surface, we call bogas, right? Okay, write down. If you want, you can take this diagram. These are the limestones. Or okay, write down bogas. First write down bogas. First write down sinking creek. Sinking creek. Write down. After rainfall, rainwater. After rainfall, rainwater. After rainfall, rainwater. After rainfall, rainwater percolates. What do you mean by percolates? Filters. Percolates or filters. Percolates or filters. Percolates or filters. Inside the earth, percolates or filters inside the earth, and flows through, travels through cracks. Cracks is known as sinking creek. Full stop. As it flows underground, it is not visible. As it flows underground, it will be not visible. As it flows underground, it will be not visible. Full stop. Next one is bogas. Bogas, write down. When sinking creek flows above the earth surface, above the earth's surface from mountain regions. When sinking creek flows above the earth's surface from mountain regions is known as bogas. Is known as bogas. Full stop. As it flows on the earth's surface, it will be visible. Okay, full stop. So Venkatesh, thanks Rathod and sir. For what purpose, brother? Did you get any job within 3-4 days? Yes, Venkatesh. So why you are wishing thanks karke to the Rathod and to the sir also? Okay. So this is about sinking creek and bogas. So this is about the erosional landforms. Now put the heading depositional landforms. Karst depositional. Sorry? Water spring, okay. Same thing, just listen. When this water flows in the bogas form, and the larger bogas are known as water springs. The larger bogas are known as water springs. Right? The best example, just listen. You might have seen the well. So when we use the water from the well, again the water comes in the well. That is springs only, right? Water springs. Means that bogas, the larger bogas we call water springs. Larger bogas are known as water springs. And that larger water springs we call rapids. And the larger rapids we call rivers. Right? Just listen here, very important point this one. So here bogas, larger bogas we call water springs. And larger water streams becomes water. Just listen. Larger water springs becomes the rapids, and larger rapids becomes the rivers. Right? Okay. Now put the heading karst depositional landforms. This is the limestone region. In this limestone region, the downward projecting lime, this is the upward projecting lime. And here both downward projecting lime and upward projecting lime, they joins together. Okay, listen. So yes, it's a lime. What is the meaning of lime? Lime meaning calcium carbonate, CaCO3. It forms after melting of limestones. When the limestone melts, it forms the lime. Lime meaning it's a calcium carbonate, right? Listen. And when the calcium, from this calcium carbonate, when the water will evaporate, what evaporates? Only the solid part of that limestone will remain. That solid part of limestone we call the lime. And such downward projecting lime, so when the water will evaporate, you will find that some solid structure of the lime. That downward projecting, listen carefully, the downward projecting lime structure is known as stalactite. Very important. The downward projecting, so lime structure is known as stalactite, and this upward projecting lime structure is known as stalagmite. And when the stalactite and stalagmite joins, we call karst pillar. Karst pillar. And this downward projecting all stalactites, they looks like a curtain, like the curtain which you keep at the houses, the doors. It looks like a curtain. That's why we call karst curtain. Karst curtain. Karst curtain meaning the group of stalactites, and stalactite meaning the downward projecting lime, we call stalactite. Upward projecting the deposition of lime, we call stalagmite. And when these two stalactite stalagmite joins, it looks like a pillar, that we call karst pillar. And the group of downward projecting stalactites we call karst curtain. All these are stalactites. These downward projecting stalactites are known as karst curtain. Okay, listen. So this downward projecting lime we call the stalactite. The upward projecting we call stalagmite. When both joins, we call karst pillar. And such group of stalactites we call, they looks like a curtain. That's we call karst curtain. Karst curtain, right? Listen. So the downward projecting line, this is the stalactite, and this is the stalagmite. The upward projecting we call stalagmite, and you'll find the pillar. If both will join, then we call karst pillar, and such group of stalactites we call karst curtain. You got this one? Karst curtain, stalactite, stalagmite, very important one. Okay. Such structures you will find in that limestone regions, mostly in the caves. They found in the caves, right? Caves. This is a cave region, and in that caves you will find these structures. Okay, write down. First, write down stalactite. It is a downward projecting. That word is very important, downward projecting. It is a downward projecting solid structure of, lime. It is a downward projecting solid structure of lime. Full stop. Second one, stalagmite. It is an upward projecting solid structure of lime. Solid structure of lime. Full stop. Next one, karst pillar. Write down. If stalactite and stalagmite joins, a pillar like structure develops. Solid structure develops is known as karst pillar. Karst pillar, right? Full stop. Next one is karst curtain. Right? Karst curtain. Karst curtain. Okay, karst curtain meaning, write down. A group of downward projecting, a group of downward projecting stalactites, a group of downward projecting stalactites appears like a curtain, therefore it is known as karst curtain. Appears like a curtain, therefore it is known as karst curtain. Right? Okay. This is about the depositional landforms, right? So what are the significance of karst landforms? Development of caves, movement of water, formation of groundwater, right? And even tourism activities, and many aquatic organisms will found in these karst landforms, right? Because there are many significant, that you have to interlink and you have to write the answers, right? Just write in the mains question, write in the question. What do you understand by karst landforms? What do you understand by karst landforms? What do you understand by karst landforms? Karst landforms, question mark. Explain its types and significances. Okay, then you have to explain here both erosion and deposition landforms and explain some significances, right? And today only you have to sit together and you have to think what can be the possible significances, and at least you have to write 5 to 6 significances for each landforms. Like for example, for fluvial landforms, for all fluvial landforms around 5 to 6 significances. For eolian landforms 5 to 6 significances. For karst landforms 5 to 6 significances, right? Okay. So this is about karst landforms. Now put the heading glacial landforms. Glacial landforms. Glacial landforms. Then, okay, listen. So, I have discussed about the difference between the glacier and the avalanches. What is the difference? So, glacier meaning, okay, very good. So, slow movement and small amount of slow movement of small mass of snow we call glacier, right? And just listen. So, here the sudden movement we call the avalanches, that already I have discussed. So, your glacier meaning the slow and a slow movement of small mass of snow we call glacier. And when, listen carefully. So, when here the glacier travels, it removes the materials by the erosion. It causes the erosion. So, because when the snow will slide down, it causes the friction. Because of friction, it causes the erosion and the metals will remove. And different size metal will remove. The small size metals we call clay. Then silt, sand, pebbles, different types of metals will remove, and all metals they are removed by the glacier. That's what we call glacial materials. And those glacial metals will deposit at the valley regions, and they form deposition landforms. Just listen. So the metals will be removed here, and that metal will deposits in this area. And due to deposition of materials, you will find depositional landforms in this region. And because of the removal of the metal, you will find the erosional landforms at the upper part. So, erosional landforms will form near upper part of the mountains, and depositional landforms form at the lower part of the mountains, right? Just listen. Erosional landforms. So erosional landforms forms at the upper part, and depositional landforms forms at the lower part. They will ask such questions in the prelims, and students will struggle to answer such questions, because if you know the concept, you can easily answer now. So in which part, listen carefully. So in which part of mountains erosional glacial landforms forms? In which part of mountains? So erosional glacial landform forms upper part of the mountains. And in which part the depositional landform forms? At the lower part or at the valley region. At the lower part or valley region, depositional landforms. At the upper part of the mountains, erosional landforms. Right? Just add one line. Write down. First write down glacier. Once again, glacier. Slow movement of small mass of snow or ice, slow movement of small mass of snow under the influence of gravity, is known as glacier. Right? Full stop. Is known as glacier. Full stop. It causes removal of sediments. Or different sized materials. From mountain surfaces. It causes removal of sediments or different sized materials from mountain surfaces and deposits them at the lower part of mountains or at the valley regions. Therefore erosional landforms forms at the upper part of mountains and depositional landforms forms at the lower part of mountains. Depositional landforms forms at the lower part of mountains. Right? Lower part of mountains. Full stop. Okay. Now write down erosion and depositional landforms. Glacial, erosional, landforms. Glacial, depositional, landforms. So glacial erosion landforms. So first one is horn. Second one, cirque. Third one, arete. Fourth one, Fjord. Fifth one, Hanging Valley. Sixth one, Coal. Seventh one, Saddle. So this is Horn, Cirque, Arrate, Saddle, and one more is Cirque Lake, or it is also known as Torn Lake. Torn Lake, Cirque Lake or Torn Lake. So these are erosional landforms. And under depositional landforms, drum lines, or first one is moraines. Second one, drum lines. Third one, eskers. Kettle lakes, moraines, drum lines, eskers, kettle lakes. Glacial plain, came terraces, etc. Or okay. So first write down erosional landforms, glacial erosional landforms. In that, take this diagram. First one is erosional. Landforms. So this top, sharp top is known as horn, and this edge is known as arrate, and this depression is known as cirque. And if the cirque is filled with water, then it is known as cirque lake. Cirque Lake or Corey Lake or Torn Lake. They are the different names. It is also we call the arrate. Done. And many students will skip this topic, landforms topic, because they will not understand in that book, G.C. Leong. And every year they will lose 10 to 20 marks. But my students never lose the marks, because you are having the concept for everything now, right? Diagrams also very important. Very simple diagram I have given. If you see the diagrams in G.C. Leong, you will not understand the diagram. You just go and try once today. You just try to see the landforms in G.C. Leong. You will not understand first what is this. But now you, by seeing the diagrams also you can remember now, right? Okay, just listen. Your horn, listen first. Horn meaning the top or the highest peak of the snow-covered mountains. The highest peak of the snow-covered mountains is known as Horn, or it is also known as a pyramidal peak. Just listen. It is also known as a pyramidal peak. Highest peak of the snow-covered mountains is known as the Horn. Just write down first. Put the heading Horn. Horn. Write down Horn. Write down. The highest peak of snow-covered mountains, the highest peak of snow-covered mountains is known as, highest peak of snow-covered mountain is known as Horn. The highest peak of snow-covered mountain is known as Horn. Horn. Full stop. It is also known as pyramidal peak. It is also known as pyramidal peak. It is also known as pyramidal peak. Pyramidal peak. Full stop. Next, listen. Arrate. Just listen here. Arrate. Arrate meaning. Just listen. So here the depressional land first we call cirque. When the material will be removed, that depressional landmass will form, that we call cirque. And very sharp edged or very steep sloped landmass will found between the Horn and cirque. That steep slope landmass we call arrate. So arrate will found between the cirque and Horn, and that will be very steep sloped or even very sharp edged and steep slope landmass between the cirque and Horn is known as arrate. And the depression landmass is known as cirque. And when the cirque will be filled with water is known as cirque lake. And the one cirque lake, and the main difference between the cirque lake and normal lake is cirque lake consists very cold water, because that snow comes and melts and that forms the cirque lake. Cirque lake consists very cold water. Generally the life will not found in the cirque lake. Generally, not always. So generally the life will not found because it's very cold water, because this water forms due to melting of the snow or ice. So this is snow covered mountain. The snow covered mountain, the ice slides down or the snow slides down and it melts inside this cirque and it becomes this cirque lake. And they are very beautiful places for the tourism. People will go and enjoy in that cirque lake in the summer time, because summer time outside will be very hot. That's why they will jump inside the cirque lake and they will remain there only, because they are very best places during the summer, not in the winter. In winter again they becomes very cold, right? In the summer time also they consist water like water in the fridge. That much cold they are having the water. And here cirque lake meaning, just listen, I will show you once. Listen, they forms in the snow covered areas and consists very cold water. Okay, this is a cirque. If there is no water, we call cirque, and if the water accumulates, we call cirque lake. And just listen, it's a cirque lake, and this is a Horn. That steep slope we call arrate. This is a arrate, very sharp edge or steep slope we call arrate, right? Arrate, and the top we call the Horn, and this is cirque and cirque lake, right? And cirque lake consists very cold water and very fresh water also. Why fresh water? Because the snow melts and forms. ये देखो डॉग को लेके चला गया अंदर. ये हमारे इंडिया के गर्ल्स जो है ना, राइट, अब क्या ही बोलेंगे. ये देखो हमारा दीदी को दिखा रहा हूँ, एक मिनट रुको. दीदी कुत्ता को लेके चली गई अंदर. Okay, this is cirque lake, the very clean water, very fresh water, right? And this water forms by melting of the snow. Next point. First, I don't know, arrate. Arrate. I don't know. A steep sloped landmass, a steep slope landmass between Horn and Silk, between Horn and Silk, Horn and Silk, Horn and Silk is known as arete. A steep slope landmass between Horn and Silk is known as arete. Is known as arete. Full stop. Ice slides on this arete. Ice slides on this arete and leads to development of cirque and cirque lake, and leads to development of cirque and cirque lakes, leads to development of cirque and cirque lakes, leads to development of cirque and cirque lakes, right? Full stop. Next one is cirque. Write down. It is a shallow depth. What do you mean of shallow depth? Shallow meaning less depth. Write down. It is a shallow depth depression. It is a shallow depth depression found. It's a shallow depth depression forms. It's a shallow depth depression forms on the surface of snow-covered mountains. On the surface of snow-covered mountains. It's a shallow depth depression forms on the surface of snow-covered mountains. Very important point. Shallow depression, right? Depression. It forms by the erosion of glacier, right? Full stop. Next point. Cirque lake. Write down cirque lake. Write down. Snow or ice melts. Snow or ice melts in cirque lake. Melts in cirque. Snow or ice melts in cirque and causes the formation of lake. Which is known as cirque lake. Causes the formation of lake which is known as cirque lake. Or Cory Lake or Torn Lake. Cirque lake or Cory Lake or Torn Lake. Right? Okay, full stop. Next point. You write down episode. Next one is episode. It's a very important one. Episode. Put here a double star. Most important. Episodes. You take this diagram. It's a snow. Okay. The snow melts and flows as a water stream, and this water stream flows through a narrow channel, a small entrance. It joins the large water bodies. It is a large water body. This large water body can be sea or ocean, generally sea or oceans. Sea or ocean, right? And this narrow entrance like structure is known as episode. Very important, episode. the narrow entrance like structure we call fjord, and these are water streams, cold water streams, cold water stream. This water streams flows through the that narrow entrance like structure, right? Okay, listen. So, a narrow entrance like opening we call the fjord. Fjord meaning it's a opening which connects the water streams to oceans or sea, and they generally found at the coastal areas of sea and oceans, especially Arctic Ocean, right? So, because you will find near Arctic Ocean or Antarctic Ocean, sorry, Antarctica continent or Arctic region. So, Arctic region or Antarctic region or near Arctic Ocean, so you will find such fjords. Fjord meaning these are the narrow openings or small entrance through which a cold water streams, just listen. So, yes, cold water streams, they enters through this narrow opening and joins the sea and ocean, that we call fjord. Listen, these small openings, small openings, so that connects the large water body this side, that we call the fjords, right? Very important. And such fjords forms due to more vertical erosion, because the streams flows continuously and it's a very wet area, very soft area, and that's why the very deep a narrow entrance like structure forms, that we call the fjords, right? Just adding this point. In cold snow covered mountains, water streams flows through a narrow opening or entrance like structure, narrow opening or entrance like structure is known as fjord, full stop. They generally forms by vertical erosion. They generally forms by vertical erosion caused by vertical erosion caused by water streams, full stop. Such fjords largely found in high latitudes region. Example: Norway, Greenland, New Zealand. Very important. So, as such fjords you will find in the high latitude regions, even in the mid latitude also, but largely found in the high latitude region, right? And this question also asked, so maximum fjords found in which of the following regions? So, answer high latitude region in general, and particularly Norway, Greenland and New Zealand, they are having maximum fjords, right? Okay, next point, hanging valleys. hanging valley. Okay. Listen. So your hanging valley meaning this large valley, this is the major valley, these are the small valleys. Small valley, this is also small valley, right? This is also small valley, right? And these small valleys, listen first. First take the diagram, complete this one. Done? Okay, listen. So here this is a major valley, these are the small valleys. When we see these small valleys with respect to large valleys, they looks like hanging, but practically they will not hang because these are the land masses, they will not hang, right? They are not ghost. But it appears like hanging, Such valleys we call hanging valleys or moving valleys. Just listen. But the valleys will not hang, right, generally. Listen. So this is the main valley, major valley. This is a major valley. When you see these small valleys, they look like hanging with respect to the major valley. When you see from outside, the upper valleys, this is a major valley and this is a major mountain. This is also major mountain. These are the small mountains. Right? And these valleys looks like hanging. With respect to major valleys. That's why we call hanging valleys. Hanging valley meaning the small valleys. So those locates above are at the upper part of major valley. This is a major valley and these small valleys are located upper part of major valley. That valley is we call hanging valley. Got this point? Hanging valley. First write down this meaning, hanging valley. Write down. Small valleys, those found at the upper part of small valleys, those found at the upper part of major valley, small valleys, those found at the upper part of major valleys, appears like hanging or oscillating, are known as therefore they are known as hanging valleys, right? Hanging valleys. Okay, listen. This is the hanging valley. Okay, listen. So this ridges, the ridges of almost linear height or similar height, so we call this saddle. And the lower land or the low land between the two peaks we call the col. So col meaning it's a flat land or the low land between two peaks. Two peaks, which peaks? That almost linear height peak. Linear height peak we call saddle. The linear height peak we call saddle. The flat land below the two saddles we call the col. Col is the flat land between two peaks. Two peaks we call the saddle. Write down saddle. Saddle. Write down. An elevated peak at any elevated peak an elevated peak at the upper part of mountains an elevated peak at the upper part of mountains is known as saddle. Saddle. Full stop. Next one is col. Write down. A flat lowland between two saddles. A flat lowland between two saddles is known as col. A flat lowland between two saddles is known as col. Right? Col. Full stop. You should not get confused between the Indira Col and Indira Point. Indira Point is in southernmost point of India. Indira Col meaning northernmost point of India. Northern India I am talking. Indira Col is northernmost point of India's mainland. Indira Point is the southernmost point of India. Right? Indira Point, Indira Col. Indira Col, it is in northernmost point of India. Indira Point is southernmost point of India. Right? Okay, see Indira Col. Yeah, just means col. Col meaning the flat lowland we call col, and saddle meaning the peaks. Peaks we call saddle. Right? Okay. So your saddle meaning the peaks, and the flat land between the two peaks we call the col, and the small valleys, those located at the upper part of major valleys, so they looks like hanging or oscillating, that we call hanging valleys. So your hanging valleys, episodes, and even cirque, horn, arete, all these are the erosional landforms, right? Horn, cirque, arete, episode, hanging valley, col, saddle, cirque, and torn lake. You got this point? Just put the heading. So your glacial landforms, glacial depositional landforms. Glacial depositional landforms. Glacial depositional landforms. Glacial depositional landforms, right? So glacial depositional landforms. So it takes almost half an hour. So it will be late for your lunch, right? Can I take or can I continue tomorrow? Tomorrow. Today only. Tomorrow. Okay. Yes, online students, any doubts? Online brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles. Any doubt? Take care, we'll stop here and tomorrow we'll continue because it takes almost more than half an hour, right? Okay, and have you taken the questions? Question on that karst landforms and fluvial landforms and Aeolian landforms, right? And tomorrow we'll give the glacial landforms. Tomorrow will give the question. Take, I'll stop here and tomorrow we'll continue, right? Thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye. Dhanyavad.